exciting.
Yes, sir.
In terms of the challenge you face with play calling, you're going against South State, promising to play two quarterbacks, they're both young. What are the challenges of that? How do you think you did personally when you rewatched it, kind of got a look at how the game flowed? What were your kind of thoughts on the play calling?
First thing, just from a quarterback standpoint, I thought, both of them did the most important thing, that was avoid catastrophic error. Now, we had some pre-snap error. I think both of them had one apiece. We had a third down and one issue where we missed a shifting trade, which caused a false start. We had another issue pre-snap, but really, other than those two things, they played pretty clean. So that's the biggest thing. Is there was no catastrophic error. From a play calling standpoint, going into the game, the most important thing was we wanted to stay in the fight as long as possible. So it was long, slow. It's going to be a grind. From an analytics standpoint, we were going to go for a bunch of fourth downs. So that's some of the third down decision making is to get us to a 4th and 2, get us to a 4th and 3. So we were exactly where we wanted to be going into half. It was a one possession game. It's exactly where we wanted to be. If you look at the history of Indiana and Ohio State, the second quarters when there's been a big lift. Coach Deal, who was always in our building, always around. I think it was the last 4 or 5 years. It was like 86 to 15 or 86 to 14 if you add the totality of the second quarters. So defense is playing great. The whole. We just want to keep staying in the fight as long as possible. Now, where some decisions are, is early in the second half. We had momentum, we got a big stop. I think the first third down, back to quarterback draw, we kind of have what we want, don't really hit it right. And then the next third down, we throw a ball and we have miscommunication between quarterback and wideout. But again, that's coaching, that's not on them. We got to make sure that they understand the plan and they're doing it right. So, and really after that, they score again, the game starts to get going. So, in the first half, I thought we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. And now it's just we got to improve, we got to be better. And from an improvement standpoint, I know people look at the rushing yards and the statistics, but just how much better, how much better offensive line is. Quarterback got hit twice, all in. And then the sack that we had, really that's more quarterback than anything else. So thought those guys really improved, took care of the football, and we just got to keep getting better every week.
What were the analytics you leaned on analytics in terms of?
Yeah, when you're fourth down decision making, the same analytics that everyone in the world is. You hear about it so much, but we're going to be really aggressive. A great example is Philadelphia. They played the Super Bowl here, they ran the ball on third down and won the NFL. And why? Because they want to play on fourth downs. So if your yard markers, when that's going to transpire, those change each week, but we're going to be aggressive.
When you're actively still evaluating two quarterbacks going into a season, obviously, Brandon started last week, Tatum started this week. Just does it get tricky to kind of evaluate them when the game plan you're going to have on them? You have game one against top 5 FBS team, and then game 2 you're seeing them just against a different level of opponent in an FCS school. Does that make it a little trickier to evaluate them?
No, I think they're both good laboratories. I think Tatum played 29, Brennan played 28, maybe it's vice versa. I'm not sure, but they both pretty much play the exact same amount of plays. Different situations in the game. There's a good mix of that. The biggest thing for us is both of them had really good football games. They're both really good football players. It would not surprise me down the line if both of them don't have a chance to play in the rest of the year. I know that's heaping them out of praise that they may not live up to. They're both really talented. It just so happens we have them both at the same time and the same age. So both of them had great fall camps. Both of them were around 70% on the hands through fall camp, didn't really turn the ball over. They both earned the right to have the opportunity to play. That and the fact that they're so young, you really don't know until the lights are on. And we've all seen guys get better. We've all seen guys that kind of become a shell of who they are. And I don't think either one of them did that. And so we've got another game to look at. And then we'll just keep evaluating as we go.
Yeah, on the two quarterbacks, take us through each one. What are 2 or 3 things that really help each one take key steps to maybe become the guy moving forward?
Yeah, with Taven, he's, for a tall, long kid, he's a way better foot athlete than you expect him to be. He takes a great deal of pride in his work. You know, I mean, he puts a lot of internal pressure on himself, which can be good and can be bad. And he can distribute, you know, he can spin the football. You know, and the thing about Brennan is very similar. You know, Brennan can hit spots, Brennan can distribute the football. He's a big physical runner. You know, when we took Brennan out of high school, it was after the first signing day, after I got hired. The majority of quarterbacks in America are signed somewhere else. You know, the reason that we took him was because he was a big physical runner. You know, and that's what you saw on his tape. He really didn't know about distribution skills. I mean, we got a chance to see him all live. I felt much better about that. But you know, they're very, very, very similar. You know, and the differences aren't in their learning ability. They're both really smart. They both retain information well. They both are composed. You know, there's just some personality nuances, but physically they're very, very similar, which helps. You know, because it's not like you have to have two distinct plans. You know, which is
Zach, on your left. Then Mason.
I guess a personnel question, but at least for some of the game, if not all, if not all the game, we saw Khalil at right tackle and Matt Bedford kicked inside the guard. Was that maybe because of some of the option stuff? Was it by design because of Matt back from injury? Was it Ohio State? I mean, just kind of what led to maybe flipping those guys from where they played?
no. You know, with Coach Bostad, those guys, you know, they end up playing in a lot of spots. You know, and not necessarily because you know it helps them learn anymore. It's just you know the amount of repetition, time on task. At some point, somebody's got to get a breather, somebody's got to kick in, somebody's got to kick out. Just a lot of reps in the practice setting. You know, and about midway through fall camp, you know that transition kind of transpired. And I think some of that had to do with also, you know, with Max Long being out for the last week or so of fall camp. You know, and so it's just trying to get the best out on the field. You know, and Matt's a class act. And that's the one thing that I think is important that everybody understands about Matt Bedford is just how all in he is about Indiana. You know, you're talking about a guy that's got NFL potential that you asked to move to guard a week and a half before the season, knowing he's going to tackle. So like I said, yeah, I'm good. Let's go. You know, and so he's a special kid. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to help us be the best that we can be.
Mason.
I think Tom on Saturday after the game said that you guys were a little bit more conservative than you wanted to be maybe in some of the situations that you were in. Is that partly quarterback related and something that would gradually increase as the quarterbacks become more comfortable in the offense, or is that just more situational?
Both. You know, I think, you know, I told Tom when we walked off the field, you know, I mean, no one goal is stay in the fight. You know, we want to make it a 60-minute game, you know, especially with kind of the history of this rivalry and how it's transpired. And, we accomplished that, but we played better than too long. I played better than too long. You know, at some point you got to go be aggressive, you know. And really the biggest thing, if you take 3 downs out of the game, you know, we execute a little bit better on the 4th and 2. You know, we have the ball down there tight. You're playing going into halftime, it's 10-7. You know, maybe we have a lead or it's 7-6. It's a long game. A little bit of an execution deal there that we can clean up. You know, and then the 2 third downs, you know, to start the second half. You know, we got what we want. We're in a good spot. We don't do the job.
Daniel and Pete.
On Saturday, we heard that rhythm was kind of challenging, with the kind of rotation you all had under center. Is there any concern from your, I guess, vantage point about maybe seeing a representative sample kind of with that rhythm maybe altering play?
None.
Pete.
Hey, well, with Bradley Archer, what are you seeing from him? What's the ceiling? What do you hope to see from him?
He's been a wonderful addition. You know, he's big, he's strong, really, really, really smart, does a great job in line. You know, catches the ball well. You know, in terms of the role he was asked to do on Saturday, it was okay. You know, the game mixed up, block those really defensive ends, but and he has been a great addition for us. Great kid, can say a whole lot, shows up, works hard every day, knows what to do.
Hang on, right, Jack.
Coach, so you mentioned Bradley there. I think I'm looking at it right now. I'm thinking of your tight ends on your offense. Finished the game with reception. I might be remembering wrong. I think one pass went to work there and it wasn't completed. Is that a hope of yours that as the season goes, as your offense, like, as the quarterbacks improve?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is just going to be, when do the opportunities present themselves? How much do we need in pass protection? And just as those guys continue to develop, because it still is a young room. We got a bunch of young guys. Baum's still young, Steiny's still young, Brody Foley's still young. Bradley's an older guy that's played some ball. But really, it's just whatever the game plan allows us to do with those guys.
Jack, is that question?
Yeah, just when you think about Jalen Lucas and kind of how we're getting him the ball, I guess I know I recognize you're playing really talented defense, but when you look back, did you like kind of the ways you were using him, or did you feel that there were ways that you could maybe maximize what he can do?
No, I mean, he had, between special teams and offense, he had 11 or 12 touches in the first half between special teams and offense. We want to try to keep him around 20. Then we lost him to cramps for 2 or 3 drives there in the second half. And so he was going to be on pace for 15, 18, and again, from a game plan standpoint, number one against those guys, you got to protect the basket, and so that means the ball's got to come out, it's got to be a quick game, really push the ball down the field, with him, got to be a little careful, but it's going to be work every week to find a way to get the ball.
Zach, question.
It's sort of a philosophical question. You've talked about how your offense, the way it operates, it can run as easily as it can pass, but you guys obviously threw a lot more than you ran it in terms of where you lined up in the Big Ten last year. As you maybe sort of shift some of your thinking in the offseason, shift some of your thinking in the preseason, and start putting together maybe some more run-oriented packages. Were there pieces of your past as a coach, coaches you've worked with in the past, head coaches you've worked with in the past that you maybe leaned on a little bit in just sort of maybe tweaking some of that stuff?
I wouldn't necessarily like coaches that I've leaned on and worked with in the past. Now, obviously, I played for Larry Fedora, coached with Larry Fedora at Southern Miss, North Carolina. Larry was known as a spread one back then, but at the same time, he's also the offense coordinator at Air Force at one point. So we, even in Southern Miss and even North Carolina, especially in Marquise Williams, kind of came right before Mr. Trubisky. When I was at Arkansas State, there was always an option element, and if anything else, just to eliminate pressure, and make things simpler, because when you run the option, that is a part of the plan. You're really going to limit the defense. You're always going to have somebody inside, outside the quarterback, and somebody for the pitch. What that does is it creates a back-end structure the majority of the time. It's much simpler to see in the football game. So hopefully, that more than anything else will alleviate, make some things easier for all those young quarterbacks.
All right, thanks, Walt.
Thank you guys.